Standardization of resource tags is critical for managing cloud infrastructure at scale. It's helpful to detect when tags deviate from your standards, but even better to correct those deviations. We can do that with the new GCP labels mod for FlowPipe, just by configuring some variables and running commands in the console. Let's take a look. Here are the labels on a set of GCP buckets. The first thing we want to do is add the mandatory label env to all of them. We cloned the mod into the current directory. Here's the rule set to add a mandatory label. We've set approvers to be the empty list here. That means we'll just detect violations, but not correct them. Let's run the detect and correct storage buckets with incorrect labels pipeline with those variables. FlowPipe finds both of them, but does nothing because we're set up to detect here, not yet to correct. Now let's take action, subject to approval. Here's the same rule set, but now we've set approvers to default, so it'll be interactive, with the console as the default place for interaction. You can also configure this so the decision-making happens in Slack or email. We'll run the pipeline again, pointing it at this new package of variables, and we'll apply the changes in both cases. Rechecking the situation, we've added the missing mandatory label to both buckets, but we've still got a deprecated one, CC, on bucket 1. Let's correct that. Here's another package of variables that updates label keys based on pattern matching. If a label is CC, or cost center spelled the British way, we'll course it to American-style cost center. By leaving approvers empty, we'll let this pipeline run without pausing for approval. The default action is notify, which would be a dry run, but we want to do it for real, so we set it to apply. The deprecated CC label is coerced to cost center, and both buckets have the standard env label. We've looked at the add and update keys primitives. There's also remove to get rid of prohibited tags, remove except, which is the inverse of remove, and update values, which is the counterpart to update keys. Of course, you might want to enforce these changes at scale, and it would be tedious to do that with one-at-a-time approval. So let's look at how to automate. Here's another package of variables set up to do that. Note that we can combine primitives to build up a complex rule set. The default action here would be notify, a dry run, so we override that with apply. And this time, we need to put FlowPipe into server mode to run the query trigger on a schedule. We can see that the trigger for our pipeline is enabled. It's running on a schedule every minute for the convenience of this demo. And we can see it's running a pretty fancy Steam pipe query to find buckets matching this complex rule set. Trigger doesn't find anything because all our buckets are in compliance. Now let's create bucket 3 with no labels and watch what happens. FlowPipe found it and fixed it. That's GCP labels in a nutshell. The pipeline we've seen here is one of a family for various taggable GCP resources. And remember, although we've shown approvals happening directly in the console, you can route those decisions through other channels like Slack or email. It's a really flexible and powerful mod, and we know people are going to get lots of mileage out of it.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to try out FlowPipe for yourself, download it today for free at flowpipe.io. See the description for links and other details.